Vikings. We talked a lot about Ubisoft, what they're doing, what they're not doing, but especially what the hell they're doing wrong. Well, let's take a look at little. Let's go.
Ubisoft just slashed their company again, and they say that this is all part of, I quote, a more gamer-centric organization. I have a little
yeah, that's not gonna happen now.
Feeling it probably isn't gamer-centric in the way that most people would like. And in this year alone, it's going to be more than €1 billion in losses. And that's not the only cost. The Prince of Persia remake. Yes, that thing. It's now finally been killed, even though apparently it's pretty close to actually being releasable. Just not releasable enough.
The original plan for Prince of Persia, as reported in November, was to release on January 16. As I've said for the past few weeks on the pod, I couldn't get updated info because of Ubisoft breaches, which is still ongoing, but probably a bigger story. I never once said it would shadow drop. That was a story made up by aggregators who literally created a fake website based on that rumor. Found out today, it was pushed to late March in December for further polishing. My fault for not following up at the time. And CAD today. Wow.
But it's only one of half a dozen games that have now bit the bullet.
6-game Prince of Persia Assassin's Time remake, 4 unannounced titles, split probably, including 3 new IPs and a mobile title. Allocated additional development time to 7 games. Okay.
Multiple studios are closing down. There's layoffs and stuff at all levels of the
Restructurings at Abu Dhabi, Red Links, and massive closure order Halifax mobile studio and Stockholm studio. Who's making the Division mobile game?
Company, and the games that they're planning to release are delayed. Yeah, Ubisoft are having fun, and as this new version of them takes shape, well, what we're talking about today is certainly not going to be the last round of cuts. Let's get up to speed. Ubisoft somehow managed to survive 2025. There was Assassin's Creed Shadows, which for all of the noise online actually does seem to have overperformed its financial expectations. Who knows about the long-run performance, but it did what they needed it to do in 2025, and their library actually did manage to deliver as well, even when, say, the free-to-play launch of Rainbow Six Siege and a lackluster autumn lineup didn't really. Basically, they have a humongous back catalogue that just trickles money into their pockets. But as we covered in this video, that wasn't the main story of Ubisoft.
Because they're good!
The main story was the Guillemot family, and them basically trying to retain control of the company. They had minimized risk. Tencent bailed them out by investing in the newly formed Vantage Studios, and the money that was provided for that was able to solve their outstanding debt issues. They laid off hundreds of staff to reach that point, but things had been looking up. The basic story is they'd have 2 big releases before the financial year's end, and that would coast Ubisoft out of diminishing losses in 2026 and into profit for financial year 2027. And at the heart of this model was their new structure, which is what they call creative houses. Essentially, it's a new structure for development that gives studios the freedom to work on games a bit more dynamically. It's the sort of thing that all sounds great in paper, but in doing all of that, there has been...
I mean, who the hell wants to work for Ubisoft when it's like this? The only reason people wanna work for Ubisoft has gotta be because, you know, it's Ubisoft. Let's go.
That cost is €1 billion in losses this year alone. And as we go through everything in today's video, you'll really see how the losses are mounting. Let's talk about the billion euro then. That's what Ubisoft are expecting as we now close out the financial year. And it's not really like they expected profit in the first place. Now, the reason for all of this is fairly simple.
Let's see.
They've written off costs of 6 projects, they're delaying more projects, and they're closing multiple studios and laying off staff. Staff who, by the way, learned about their layoffs basically when we did. So that's not been fun for them. Now, all of this contributes to a major hit to their finances in the short term. Obviously, doing all of that stuff is fairly expensive, and especially...
The stocks have never been this low in 15 years!
That's because one of the games that they killed was apparently meant to launch this month. Yes, I mean it. So, insider gaming sources report that at one point, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake was scheduled January 16th, 2026. Obviously, that hasn't happened.
No.
Essentially, following a review of the game over December and January, leadership pushed the game to March. But then, it was killed. It was killed on the day of the big investor announcement. And alongside it, 3 new IPs have been cancelled, 1 existing IP project is cancelled, and a mobile title. But other than the quantity of layoffs, there's
one of those games are probably Prince of Persia.
Another thing that outnumbers the cancelled games, and that's the delayed ones. 7 more games have been delayed, and one of those was previously scheduled for this financial year. That's a hell of a lot being pushed back, and it very much seems that the worst kept secret, the Black Flag remake, well, won't be out before April at the earliest.
The longer they wait, the worse this remake is gonna do, I think. Especially when they announce... Well, they haven't announced anything, but all the leaks, you know, it's this month, no, it's next month, no, it's this month, like... And they haven't even announced it, as far as I know.
And of course, this is just
not
the
officially.
Project. Let's talk about the studios.
I think.
Ubisoft Halifax was closed, and that was weeks after the studio voted to unionize. Then Stockholm, where Ubisoft were experimenting with cloud development, will be shut down entirely. Layoffs are coming, or are already in progress at Abu Dhabi, at Red Links, and also at Massive. Massive are the maker of the Division, so it's a hell of a lot, and all of this is part of saving 100 million euro in fixed costs a year ahead of schedule. Because what this is really all about is Ubisoft getting ready for its future, and it's a future that, they say is gamer-centric, but maybe won't
bullshit
be gamer-centric in the way that you would want. Here's the story Ubisoft are putting forth, right? They're framing these cancellations as an acknowledgement of, and I quote, a persistently more selective AAA market and an increasingly competitive shooter landscape. Honestly, like,
competitive shooter landscape? That's why you should do something different.
Like, those things I think are fairly true.
Because when they, like right now, shooter-centric, let's make that game. Well, when that game is made, let's say 2 years into the future, well, then it's something else. Then you're releasing a shooter-based game that is not like shooter-based centric in the gaming space. So maybe make a game you want to make and don't grab what's popular right now.
Are seeing a fair few AAA failures. There is a lot of competition. Now, their solution to this is, as I said earlier, to become a, quote, more gamer-centric organization structured around creative genres with faster, decentralized decision-making. And a lot of those things do sound good. Faster, decentralized decision-making. That is basically what we all want. Now, what they're doing is doubling down on 2 core pillars. And I think these core pillars are what they think is gamer-centric. But I'd love to know your take. The core pillars are open-world adventures and GaaS native experiences. You may be thinking, what? Ubisoft are gassing us? No, GaaS means games as a service. Now, this doesn't mean every single game they make is going to be that, but that type of game is the sort of thing that'll be keeping the lights on for them. And those are going to be brought to you by the creative houses that develop and publish their own games, and that will all happen under the watchful eye.
If they do it well, okay, but I highly doubt it. Ubisoft is... they're barely a shell of what they once were. Like, I would say Ubisoft 10 years ago is so far from Ubisoft now. Ubi is a shit show. Yes. Yes, it is.
Of Ubisoft's Paris leadership. Now, I want you to take a look at this chart. So, each of these are going to get names eventually, but...
Okay, open world adventure games as a service native experience. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, right here behind me. Creative House 2, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, and Division. Okay. So, House 2 offering competitive and cooperative shooter experience. Splinter Cell is among them. Well, that's good. Hold on. And Ghost Recon? Yeah, Ghost Recon is going to be first person. Yeah, they're going back to basics. Good. And 3 operating a roster of select shop live experiences. Brawlhalla. They still keep that alive. For Honor, Riders Republic, Skull and Bones, everybody. The crew. So they're seriously going all in on Skull and Bones. Because we are getting a year 2. Yeah. This year, we're getting year 2. Season 4. No, I mean year 3. Season 4 of year 2 is almost upon us. And this just shows that we will get a year 3. House 4, dedicated to immersive fantasy worlds and narrative-driven universes. Anno, Beyond Good and Evil, Might and Magic, Prince of what the fuck, Persia, and Rayman. Hold on. Prince of Persia? They canned it. Maybe they're making a new game? Okay. Rayman. Beyond Good and Evil. I mean, fuck that. They should just can that. Beyond Good and Evil have been in development for so many years that I highly doubt it's gonna be good when it comes out. But hey, I hope it's good. Might and Magic. Have you ever played that one Might and Magic game? First person. I don't remember what it's called, but holy shit, that is good. I don't know if that's Ubisoft, but shit. To be honest, Ubisoft has much to handle. They can't even get info out right. Yeah. This right here. Let's go! So true. Fuck, that is true. House 5, reclaiming a strong position in casual and family-friendly games. Hasbro portfolio. Oh, do we get more Transformers games? Hungry Shark. They still... I remember I played that when I was younger. What? Okay. Invincible Guardian. The Globe Invincible. Hold on. Isn't that an indie game? Okay. Just Dance. Catch Up. Colibri. Uno. Or Uno. I mean... Yeah, Hungry Shark is still the thing. Exactly. I mean, what? I didn't know. I didn't know. Okay. I mean, this looks great, to be honest. This could be a good thing. But, knowing Ubisoft, that's probably a catch.
They're all following the Vantage Studios model, though not necessarily in scope. Vantage's 3 brands have been positioned as billion-dollar franchises since 2022. They're quite literally defined as billionaire brands on the org chart. As for everything else, well, they're getting a specific type of game as their product, so basically that means the same company who's making Rayman doesn't have to be the same bunch who are making Rainbow Six. What actually goes where? What does all this mean? So Creative House 2 is going to be competitive and cooperative shooters. That means Ghost Recon, Splinter...
But does that mean that they will all make, like, okay, Ghost Recon, that first, and then they'll make Splinter Cell? Or will they make Ghost Recon and Splinter Cell at the same time? Creative House? How many studios per house? You know? How many? Yeah, to be honest, House at 3 to 5 is gonna get fucked somehow in the classic Ubi way. Hey, you are 100% right. Fuck yeah.
Cell and The Division. House 3 will have select sharp live experiences, which essentially means their existing successes like Brawlhalla, For Honor, The Crew, and a game that you probably forgot about, Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
People actually play Skull and Bones. I don't think it's really that many of them, but it's enough of them for seemingly it to be worth doing. I think it's just...
this game could be very good. It could. Like, I'm having fun. Every time we play this, I'm having fun. It's just very repetitive and very little to do when it comes to new stuff, new activities. But if they introduce land combat, land exploration, damn. Wasn't Skull and Bones hella rushed? Rushed! That was in development for years! And I mean years! Shit! But the problem was they switched the end goal. The design, the theme so many times they didn't know what kind of game they wanted to make. It is a good game. If you go in with the idea that you're controlling a ship, pirate ship combat game, and not fucking a realistic Sea of Thieves, then hell yeah, it's good. Probably every house is gonna get fucked. Yeah. Very planned game getting a very rushed ending. There you have it. Yep.
One of those games that is away in its own corner of the internet where the rest of us just don't really hear about it. Then there's Creative House 4, which I think we may as well just label as other. Ubisoft are framing them as immersive fantasy worlds and narrative-driven universes. But I think in practice that's going to mean strategy games like Anno, Might and Magic, maybe the odd Rayman, Prince of Persia, and, of course, Beyond Good and Evil, which still exists. Yeah, I know. Maybe it'll come out before 2050. Then there's Creative House 5. That's casual games like Just Dance. And all of these will report directly to Ubisoft HQ whilst being supported.
Okay. The creative and operational driving forces, including dedicated lead studios. Okay, here you have the HQ. Boom, 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 boom. Create a network of studios partnering with all creative houses to provide best-in-class production capacity. Sounds good, though. Core services provide shared, standardized, and scalable services that enable the brands and projects teams to focus on their core missions. Production services, technology and infrastructure, business, operations, and services. I mean, on paper, it sounds like a good shakeup, a good change. But again, this is Ubisoft. So, I mean, this could fail big time. But I hope, because I think they are making good games. They're just fucking every release because they don't polish their games enough. And they're more like, they don't they don't really go after the core community, the core gaming community. They're going on X, okay. What's popular? What are people hating? Okay. Hey, there's fucking 20 different sexes. Let's cater to that. Fuck you. Come on. What do you think is going to happen first? GTA 6 or Ubisoft becoming a stable company? Well, I would say this change is fairly new, but I do think that GTA 6 is going to get delayed again. So both GTA 6 is probably coming next year. Ubisoft is probably, we won't notice any difference in the company until maybe 2 to 3 years. So it all depends on Rockstar.
Supported by their creative network, which basically means internal outsourcing for manpower and then core services for like production, finance, technology, and that kind of thing. So that's the structure. With all of that structure being set up, you may be wondering, why was Sands of Time cancelled?
Yes, exactly. Like, they want to focus on Prince of Persia, but I think I know. If you are in my Discord server, you I've shared some links about the models and all that shit, and it looks crap. And they changed the design, the graphics, the art style so many times, but they never, according to the leaks, went for the old design on the prints. What?
You could have launched it. Well, you can see that the team working on it are talking about it in social media, and they are saying the franchise will continue. They want to keep making Prince of Persia games. So why not just hand another team the work so far, or let the people at Ubisoft Montreal, you know, a studio that sure can actually make games, keep going and finish the thing? Well, the reason is that team alone had already given the thing 4 years. Yes, 4 years. And in this new Ubisoft's view, they could be working on something that is just a more provable IP. They could be putting resources into a game more likely to generate a outsized return. But even so,
4
why
years?
not hand it over to one of the Creative House 4 studios?
I wonder who the fuck decides all this stuff. Okay, you invested 4 years into the brand. You know people want it. It's a remake, so people are probably gonna buy it if it looks shit or not. And then you have the game right there. So why not just fucking improve upon that game? I don't get it. Because the game is good as is. Just fucking make, I don't know, how hard can it be? Well, it took 4 years and they had to cancel it. Why not just invest maybe, fuck it, 1 more year? Just to see? I don't know. I'm not a big fucking gaming company guy, but I would think like if you invested 4 years, why not try and invest 1 more year? Or at least, since the leaks are out, why not try to let people test out the game? You know, just show it. Okay, we want to show you the game. Like, give us a trailer, a gameplay, just to show us. Okay, this is what we come up with. Are you happy? Something like that. No, we're not happy. We don't like this. We don't like that. Boom, boom, boom. Like they did with Sonic. You know? The remake of that movie. You release a trailer. Show it for the purpose of improving upon the game. What do people like? What don't they like? And then send out emails with polls and stuff. And give them about 1 year to improve upon it. Boom. Since you already invested 4 years. Come on, I mean, sounds like a good plan.
Well, if you did, you'd just be hanging a big milestone around their neck and giving them a hell project that's already faced many, many years of chaos. It may not be the best way to kick off a new business unit that is expected to be financially sustainable in its own right. And if all of this seems like a plan rapidly cobbled together, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I mean, as of the announcement, staff don't even know where they are going. I think there's a logic underwriting all of this. And that logic is pain now over pain later. Here's the principle of things. If Ubisoft as a publishing group take these hits now, then the creative houses don't have to make those hard choices later, and they actually get to be successful business units. It would mean that when they come into existence in April, they would be doing that with as positive a balance sheet and release schedule as is, well, possible. I think that's essentially the plan. And that means...
that sounds really good, though, both for the company itself and the ones that are making the games. That'll probably give a little motivation, you know? Probably. They should scrap every game that's not sustainable. I'm glad that that Ubisoft is trying to fix the games, at least the live service games. Like, just look at For Honor. That came out years ago. And it did shit at launch, but now it's still going. It's still going, so I hope they do the same thing with Skull and Bones. And then Outlaws, that came out. That did shit. Bugs looked shit and etc. They improved upon that, gave it an overhaul. Assassin's Creed Mirage, that also got an overhaul. Fucking even Avatar got an overhaul, even though it did okay. I mean, they're good at improving the games, but they're not good at fucking polishing the games for launches.
The games coming out in fiscal year 27 get more dev time, more polish, and more time for developers to adjust to the new structure.
Sounds
That is
good.
basically how this would benefit the creative houses, the new structure,
But
at least in theory.
yeah,
You see,
exactly.
each of these creative houses is also, and perhaps more importantly, a vehicle for internal investment, like with, say, the Tencent stuff that we've talked about. That may mean partnerships, as we've seen with Might and Magic and Hooded Horse, but it might also mean just selling off some brands. Ubisoft are leaving divestors as open options, basically means that more publishers like, say, Atari can just comb through their back catalogue for games that are on that creative house's list. And to break analyst mode for a second, I think I need to acknowledge the obvious thing that we're probably all thinking as regular people. This is all just owned by Ubisoft, and it does feel like a bunch of, yes, we've split ourselves up, I don't know, like Cell Division, and we now own all of these things, and it all does feel like, business structure, corporate tomfoolery. And I suppose
it does.
in a way it is, because obviously Ubisoft itself does own all of these companies, and Ubisoft still reports group-wide profit and loss. They're still on the hook for the cost of all of this stuff, and now they're saying that recovery is going to take longer than anticipated. Yes, that's also a thing that they've said in this recent big wave of talking about investors and businessy things.
Reset or short-term financial outlook reflecting a major portfolio refocus and a meaningful reviewed 3-year roadmap. Okay, so in about 2 years, they'll be, well, at zero, basically. And then they can focus on the future. Okay, well, that sounds good on paper.
And that's why this won't be the end of the cost cutting. They are ahead of their current plans for 100 million euro in savings by 2027, but they're already rolling out what they call, quote, a third and final phase. If you work at Ubisoft, that's what I think we call a threat. Now that phase is to be another 200 million euro in costs, all to be cut by March 2028. And as Stephen Totillo at GameFile has pointed out, since this plan started, it's meant 3,000 layoffs, saving 300 million euros. And in total what it comes to is Ubisoft wanting to go from 1.75 billion euro in costs in 2023 to 1.25 billion in costs by 2028. Now that likely means another 2,000 staff need to go by fiscal 28 alongside real estate sales and efficiency, which is of course why a lot of generative AI as an investor-friendly buzzword is also part of all of these announcements, because of course it is. And while you may think, oh man, look at that, they're ahead of schedule on that 100 million we talked about. Surely they don't have to do everything right now. Surely they can do it slowly and efficiently. No, the phase 3 things are actually starting now. Anyone still at Ubisoft is going to be required back in the office 5 days a week with a set number of days per year that they can work from home. This is to, quote, boost the collective performance for AAA.
Hey, I would say that's smart. I know people like to fucking work from home. I get it. People say they do a better job, but I mean, I would say instead of talking to each other through a screen, I would say it's a lot better sitting in an office and work. But with that comes bad morale and fucking long hours. But if we think about it, some games after Corona was good, but after, a lot of shit games. So I think office culture should be back. And also, if you work together with somebody instead of alone, you get more efficient, you know?
Now, whenever you're changing the conditions of work, you're changing basically someone's employment terms, or agreement, that obviously will lead to a lot of people deciding, you know what, this no longer makes sense for what I want out of my career and my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and look somewhere else. That's one of the ways in which this is a classic soft layoff technique, where basically you're removing staff who maybe would need additional accommodations without having to fire them directly. And that's the sort of thing they'll have to do because, well, this sounds funny, but because of something that's good, Ubisoft's CFO confirmed they're at, quote, the lowest historical levels of staff attrition, and this is down from a peak in 2022. Is that because Ubisoft is suddenly a magical place to work, or is it because there's been a lot of layoffs in the industry. Hiring is still really weak, so obviously people will not want to, go find a job elsewhere. That's way harder. So if you're to ask me, it's a case
Especially Ubisoft, especially.
of low staff attrition because staff basically don't have anywhere else to go, which may not be a great sign for how happy they are in the company. And I bring all of this up because based on everything that we've seen, staff may actually be Ubisoft's largest problem. Here's how staff are a problem. At the time of the announcement, people did not know what creative house their project would be lumped into. This is the sort of thing that is a big corporate decision, but it doesn't seem that they have a lot of buy-in for it. It would be hard to get buy-in for any of this planning in a world where staff don't even know where they're going to be going. And of course, Ubisoft's union-backed staff across Europe and Scandinavia are fairly quick to tell leadership when they think they're wrong. They're already planning protests. They're already calling.
Look at that. Fucking strike. Yeah, we'll probably see more of that when it comes to Ubisoft, without a doubt.
For strikes, and as this restructuring rumbles on, expect more and more pushback. But there is another problem looming as well. We don't know who's going to run these creative houses.
Well, I have a feeling the Guillermo, or what the fuck they call Guillermo family.
And we've seen evidence in recent weeks that Ubisoft are losing a lot of their heavy hitter talent. People who have been there for a long time and people who have played a major role in saving or salvaging projects.
Vice President Mark Alexis Cote was the Vice President and Executive Producer of the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. Well, doesn't matter if we lose him. They have been sort of shit, but how long have he been the vice president? How long?
We have a deep dive on that coming soon, as it could be a real big problem for them. Now, all of these changes are about one thing: the Guillermo's gamble on guaranteed short-term pain for long-term success. Question, though, is whether enough of Ubisoft's workforce and
I would say that sounds good on paper.
Library survives to see it pay off, and of course, as far as you and I are concerned, pay off in the form of high-quality games that are worth your time. Who knows if that will happen? And speaking of confusion, who knows that Highguard is coming out next week? I expect literally several of you. There's been a lot of, I'm going to say, anti-buzz about the game. If you want to cut through a lot of the noise, though, and actually see what's going on and some of the fun arrangements of the Game Awards, watch this video next.
I think when it comes to Highguard, let's just talk a little about that. I think Jeff Keighley have invested money. Yeah, I think he invested money into the game, into the company, and that's why they didn't have to pay for the showing at Game Awards. But also, like, he fucking loved gaming. But I think the smartest choice was not to invest in that game. But I would say, so where do we have it? It should, I would say, was it at the beginning? No. The list, I would say this right here looks good. Studio 1, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six. Sweet. 2, Ghost Recon Splinter Cell Division. Okay, they haven't cancelled Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell is on. Watch Dogs is out. That's canned. No more of that. Little shit, because that could be a good game if they just improved upon, what the second game was. Brawlhalla, For Honor, Riders Republic, Skull and Bones, and The Crew. When you look at this list, it's a little weird that they invest in gaming the way they do. Riders Republic, is that really that good? Is it? Does it really have that many players? For Honor, that we know. It's doing great. It's still up. Still up. Brawlhalla. My kids loves that. Skull and Bones. I mean, the people who play the game and have played the game since launch love it. They fucking love it. I love it too. I think it's awesome. It just needs more. Especially land exploration and fucking land combat. Control the fucking character, not the ship. That would be sweet. The Crew. Well, I have a feeling The Crew is going to do worse. But, hey. And then we have Anno. There's a community for that. Beyond Good and Evil. I think they should just get rid of that franchise. Might and Magic, I say welcome. Prince of Persia. They're not done with Prince of Persia. They're just sick of the remake. So hopefully we'll get the good one. If you want to play the Prince of Persia San franchise, what I would say to that, go and play them. They're really good. Rayman, yeah, like it would be stupid of Ubisoft to can Rayman. Rayman is basically fucking Ubisoft, you know? And then Hasbro portfolio, Hungry Shark still. With the Hasbro, probably more Transformers. Invincible Guardian of the Globe, I have a feeling that is the indie game. But I thought, no, it has to be another one. Because I haven't heard the Ubisoft bottom. I don't know. Just Dance, how the hell this is still popular, I have no idea. Like, all that Guitar Hero shit is dead and gone. I don't think that will ever come back. That was cool with the drums and all that shit. That was cool. Colibri Ketchup, I don't know what that is. Then we have Uno. Yeah, how many Uno games do we need? I don't know. But on paper, it looks good. It looks good on paper. And then even this, I would say that looks good too. But all in all, on the paper, and knowing Ubisoft, they'll probably fuck something up. But I really hope that they stick to the plan and maybe get better games out there, polished games, and then maybe we can finally look forward to a Ubisoft game again. Like Far Cry. Hey, give me a good Far Cry game.